Hello. Welcome.
Hello, you're back. I mean,
Yes, well,
kind of.
I'm not really back. Joining you, you guys might see that I'm in a different location and I'm a little bit sweatier looking and a little tan. But I'm coming to you guys from Cabo San Lucas. I'm here for a few days with Tariq Al Musa, Heather, and their family. Incredible human beings. Really enjoying getting to spend time with them. My little girl Charisma is here with us as well. So here, but could not miss this incredible time with you, Landry, because A, I love spending time with you, but B, the market is changing and people are realizing that they have to get pretty dialed in on their direct to seller marketing so that they're being more efficient, so that they're minimizing their waste, so that they're creating and generating lists that are really concentrated, really specific to the type of property that we know as wholesalers or as real estate investors become the types of deals that we end up transacting on.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know, driving for dollars is actually how 70% of first time real estate investors
Wow.
get their first deal. Isn't that crazy?
That's way higher than I thought. That's
I
nuts.
was shocked. In fact, that stat came from, I think, before agent outreach became a really popular technique to do, and a lot of people are getting a ton of traction from it, which you
Yeah.
also know Batch Leads has a phenomenal platform within it. But what I really wanted to do was showcase to people how when you are looking at going direct to seller, when you do driving for dollars, if you do it physically, you got to get into your car. You got to spend a bunch of time. You're going to be in your car. You're gonna have to create a map. You're gonna have to create a route. If you don't, you're just going to be driving neighborhoods kind of indiscriminately. You're going to have to navigate driving, writing down addresses, maybe taking photos, maybe pulling the car over. There's just a lot of moving parts when you do
Yeah.
this driving. For me, I did my first wholesale deal walking for dollars.
Oh, heck yeah. There you
My
go.
first
Did you have a pad of paper with you and everything, the old school way?
the old school way, and I was
Yeah.
actually walking by a house that had a for rent sign out front.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
funny enough, I'd actually tried to rent that house 3 months earlier, but it was $200 a month outside of my budget. So that just gives you an
Yeah.
idea of how poor I was, because $200 decided where I lived, right? And so that was my situation. But because I had known that this lady had been trying to sell her or rent her house for months and wasn't successful, I called her and I just asked, "Hey, look, you haven't been able to rent, but what about sell?" And she just said, "Well, if I had the right number, of course I'd sell." And I asked what that number was, and she said 350,000. And then I found a buyer who wanted to pay 400 for it, and that's how I did my first wholesale deal. I made 47,000 and
Oh,
change
heck yeah.
after all of the fees. I don't think you'd ever heard that story before, and I thought it
No,
was
I haven't.
accurate
Yeah.
because today we're going to be effectively doing the same thing that this guy did to get his first deal, but we're going to do it smarter. We're going to work smarter instead of harder, because a really incredible aspect of what Batch Leads has to offer within their platform is the capacity to drive for dollars virtually. This means we're
All
not
the way
getting
from Cabo.
exactly. We're not going to get into our car. We're not going to waste money in gas. It's, I don't know,
Oh,
it's 100 million degrees right now in Phoenix,
yeah.
Arizona. I'd have no desire to be in a car right now in that state, let alone walk anywhere for that matter. So just not for me, right? Just not for me. But this makes a lot of sense.
I'm
So
excited. I think this
yeah,
is going to be good. We're mixing it up. And by the way, you can kind of see your little book right here. So that's cool. Like hearing about your first deal, I'm like halfway through. It's been so awesome. If you guys knew about Jamil's book, it's been such a good read so far.
well,
Love it.
Len, I'm really grateful that you bought the book and are reading it. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you support, and for everybody else who support me in that journey. It took me a lot of
So
time
cool.
to write the book, and I actually had to write it with, I did it personally. I didn't ghostwrite it, so that was an interesting thing. But if you guys don't have a copy of the book, you can go to biggerpockets.com/wholesale book and it would be great if you supported it. But we're here today for this. And so we have an interesting proposition for our viewers today, because we
Yes.
want to get you guys involved in what we're doing. We want to have you guys be a part of this, and we're going to incentivize you to join us on this journey, because what Landry and I are going to do is create a little mini challenge with the folks that are tuning in for this awesome virtual Driving for Dollars showcase. But we're going to be giving away an incredible resource for you for participating or winning this challenge with us. So Landry, tell us about what the folks can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, and if you want to pull up your screen just so people can kind of visualize it too, or show up, see if you can pop that up on here. But let me share this link with you guys. This is just have this document with you, because the next show that we're doing will be near the end of the month. So we're going to announce the winner at the end. You guys are going to have this time period to be kind of following these directions. Everybody's eligible. You have to be using batch leads and following along with us. So either if you have an account, great. If you don't, then use batchleads.io/off market. Let me grab this. Okay. And thanks for posting that, Emily. And after you guys get into your account, you'll do what we're going to showcase today, start adding properties, and then send me a photo of the most distressed one you find at community@batch service. Just one entry per person. So, really take the time as you guys are out there building your list. Don't just send like one entry, the first property you find, like find the most distressed, beat up property.
And this is so fun, right? Because like now we get to actually have some fun with it. You're going to be virtually scanning whatever city, whatever market, whatever block, neighborhood, and you got to just send us the most chocolatiest, most completely disaster-ridden, like war zone of a house, and truly the more terrible it is, the better it is for what we do in this business. And what's the prize?
Yeah, the prize is a full free year of batch leads. It's actually a little over $1,000 in value. So, and it's awesome because you guys get to take advantage of doing Driving for Dollars, the mobile app, which you guys can download, by the way, if you did really want to go out and about and have it in your pocket. But all of the amazing tools of pulling lists of buyers and sellers, agent outreach, sending mail, like there's so much in there. And I teach you guys how to use it. So get in there, start a trial, and you could win it for a year if you send us the most distressed property. So I'm really excited to actually get you guys involved on this show and do something a little bit more, just a little something different. So
I'm excited for it too. So guys, if you haven't already become somebody that uses batch, I'm going to be just going over the appraisal rules on how people can market and really understand value in this business. And while I do that, if you haven't already signed up for batch leads, go give yourself an opportunity to participate with us and do this. Go to batchleads.io/off market while I go through the appraisal rules. So the appraisal rules, what these are, is how I value property in 2023. Now, guys, it's really important that we understand that the market has changed. The market has completely changed in this current environment. We've got very low inventory. In fact, I was on a Bigger Pockets podcast today, and we are at the lowest inventory levels that we have seen. We have, and so that's scary, right? It's scary that there's low inventory. Then we're looking at, okay, what's the percentage of properties that are going under multiple offers that are being listed right now? Over 50%. Now,
seriously,
add to that the fact that we are inching towards 7.5% retail mortgage rates right now, which is, again, we haven't seen the Fed raise rates the way that they've been raising rates in 40 freaking years. They haven't done this aggressive of a monetary policy to shift the direction of the economy in 40 years. I'm 44. I don't even remember the last time the Fed was this aggressive with trying to constrict the market. And so the real estate market is doing something very interesting right now. It is moving in the opposite direction of what the Fed is trying to do. And it's happening because of the fact that there's all these low interest mortgages sitting out there between 2 and 4%. Now, these people that own these 2 to 4% houses or mortgages aren't very motivated to move. So again, it's creating this big inventory crunch. So it's going to be very important that you understand these appraisal rules, because you have to know how much a property is really worth. And you can't be using old comps. You can't be using old data. You have to be on the money, because if you're not aggressive in your offers, especially in today's market, you are going to lose. You are not going to get your offer accepted. You are not going to do business. And eventually, it's very likely that you'll quit. And that's one of the number one reasons why I see people get into wholesale and then get out of wholesale, is because they're unsuccessful. So let's stop that by showing you what you need to do, helping you accomplish it, giving you the appropriate tools, and then going out there and taking some action. So let's dive into the appraisal rules. Now, again, we're using these as new for 2023. When you are comparing two houses, we want to remember, we want to compare two apples. The guys, remember, go to batchleads.io/off-market. Keep me in the background and download Batch while I'm doing this, so that you have the platform available while Landry's doing the demo. I'm going into this to give you guys a chance to go and become a Batch customer. Now, when you are comparing two properties, you want to make sure that you are not using comps that are older than 90 days. There has been so much activity in the market right now that there's a ton of comps available. But if you're looking at one specific house in a specific neighborhood that doesn't have a comp that is within the last 90 days, you can go as older as 6 months up to the beginning of 2023. So anything that's closed in 2023 up to now is a really good indicator of where the market is or where pricing needs to be for your ARV. So make sure you're doing that. With respect to older comps from July of 2022 and needing to do the 10 to 20% correction, I just learned this today, so this document didn't have a chance to be modified. We are back at the pricing of July of 2022.
Wow.
We had a dip. We had a 10% dip. And then all of a sudden, with inventory going where it is, it has started the other opposite direction. And now we're at parity between now and July of 2022, which tells you what? NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is saying that the housing correction is done. They're calling it. They're saying it's over. Zillow saying over. Hedge funds back buying. In fact, one of my students, Todrick, he might even be on the live stream today. He just completed a 130 or 140 house deal, bulk sale to a hedge fund in Detroit, and he was able to make a $200,000 assignment fee.
Oh my gosh!
Can you imagine one deal making $200,000? What that would do to your life? Anyways, so amazing. Again, you want to know that right now the market is super hot. The institutions are back. They're buying it plentiful. So there he is. Todrick is in the chat. You go. He's here and he'll confirm it. So remember, when we're comparing two houses, we want to compare apples to apples, and not just apples to apples, but it's the same apple grown from the same tree in the same orchard using the same soil under the same conditions. That's what comping is, like for like. So we want to make sure that we're comparing two houses that are within the same subdivision. If we're going to compare two houses that are of different size, we really can only go plus or minus 250 square feet of size difference between our house. So to break that down into an example, if I have 1,000 square foot subject house, I can only use comps as small as 750 square feet and as large as 1,250 square feet. So the variance can only be plus or minus 250 square feet before I start skewing my dollar per square foot outside of what an appraiser would do. So guys, remember, can only compare houses that are within plus or minus 250 square feet of each other. The next point, you want to compare houses that are of the same property type. So you can only compare a ranch to a ranch, a two-story to a two-story, a historic house to another historic house. Now, a really good indicator of how I know whether or not I'm leaving a subdivision is whether or not I cross any major roads, right? So if you don't cross any major roads, you're very likely within the same subdivision. It's a very good rule of thumb to keep. But if you have to cross major roads, don't go out any farther than a half a mile. Know that the farther you go out your distance from your subject house, the less accurate your price will be. Doesn't make it wrong, just makes it less accurate. Then we want to make sure that we're comparing houses that are within the same build generation. So another example, if your subject house is built in 1970, but your comp is 2005, it's not the same build generation. The technology isn't the same anymore, right? And so we want to be making sure we're comparing houses that were built within plus or minus 10 years of each other. If you think about it, the technology that was used between 1975 and 1985 to build houses was pretty similar. But when you get beyond 10 years, the technology really starts to change, or what we call the build generation really changes. And so that's why you want to make sure that you're comparing houses within the same build generation. Then again, guys, we're not going to get the same type of house to compare to each other. So again, if you've got a 3-bed, 2-bath subject, but your comp is a 4-bed, 2-bath, that means you have to accommodate for that additional bedroom. So these are the adjustments that we make when we have differences between our subject and our comp. A bedroom is worth anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. A bathroom is worth up to $10,000. A pool, unfortunately, is worth only between $10,000 to $25,000 at most. And that's sad because even the crappiest pool right now can't be built for under 40 grand. So pools are the worst ROI in real estate that exist. A garage is worth, right? Isn't that crazy? Yes. A garage is worth $10,000 to $25,000, and a carport is worth $5,000 to $10,000. Now, the last thing you want to remember is if you're looking at a house that is siding, backing, or fronting traffic, so heavy traffic, or commercial or multifamily, you're going to need to make adjustments. But those adjustments change depending on the price point. So for houses under 500K, if you're siding or backing traffic, multifamily, or commercial, you're going to adjust down $10,000. If you're fronting commercial or multifamily or traffic, you're going to adjust down $20,000. But that changes dramatically then when we're talking about the luxury price point or over 500,000. That's where you're going to take 10% off for siding or backing traffic or multifamily and commercial, and you're going to take 20% off if you're fronting. Just think about it, right? Yeah. People who can afford a house over $500,000 don't necessarily want to open the door and let their cat run out the front door and get squished, right? So I always remember, the richer you are, the less dead cats. And then lastly, if you have a garage or a guest house, you can only get up to 50% of value for that. So I see this happen all the time with new wholesalers. They'll say, okay, I've got a main level of 1,500 square foot and my basement is 1,500 square feet. So my square footage is 3,000. No, it is not. An appraiser will only give, if they do give you value for the basement, the most they'll ever give you is 50% of that value. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your math. Now, Landry, I've said a lot, but I want to see you show us exactly how to leverage this incredible tool that you guys have. Now, guys, if you didn't know this, Batch Driven used to be a separate service that you would have to pay money for every single month. And what Batch Leads has done is they've actually discontinued having you needing to pay for Batch Driven. Now they've actually given it to you for free within Batch Leads. That's what Landry is about to show us.
Yeah. And I'm going to show you guys a quick, just like 3 slides, and then we'll go over to like my account just because, oh, here, let me switch which screen it is. Hold on. Let's take this off. Put that on here. Oh, he might be having some connection issues. I'm going to get this up while we wait for him. And we're probably going to pick a market of your guys' choice today, which I'm excited about, because we're always going in Phoenix, and you can see everything in Phoenix so well because it's so open and, you know, dry there. But maybe we'll go somewhere where there's more vegetation and trees covering things. We'll see what happens today. But let me show this. Okay.
Yes.
That was the right screen. There we go.
It's 10% off the comps. Yes. Thanks for the clarity.
Yeah. And I'll show you guys too with all of those awesome appraisal rules, which I think are just so big and important to keep in mind, especially like when you get into, because I show your appraisal rules all the time within the batch community, and we'll drop the link for you guys to get into the batch community as well. But it's such an important thing to remember, so you guys will have that resource and then be able to comp in batch leads too, even on the app. So anyway, this is kind of what it looks like. As you guys know, we have to blur everything and block everything. So we'll also be dropping another link probably by the end for you guys to have the opportunity to join kind of another Driving for Dollars challenge that I'll be hosting in this system and teaching you guys how to use everything within your account. So if you're somebody that's signing up for a trial, I'll teach you guys how to use it. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. But anyway, you'll be able to see the system in another time. So when you guys get into your account, what I'm going to be breaking down today is within driving routes. You'll see this even in your trial. Go to the menu, go to driving routes, and you'll see just a blank map. I have all of my tracked routes all over the United States from different driving routes. But one quick tip to keep in mind is you can switch. I think by default, it'll go to the regular map view that is just kind of gray and doesn't show you anything. But I would say click on the gear icon or your settings right when you get in there and switch over to satellite, because then you can take a peek into backyards, the roofs, if there's an empty or green pool. Because wouldn't you say, Jamil, when you're deciding where to drive for dollars, for anybody that hasn't done this, how important is that, to be looking at that from above?
Big time. So it, like what Landry just said, you guys, write that down, right? The satellite view is going to just deliver you so much information. You see a green pool, there's distress there. You see patches on the roof, there's distress there. You see a junkyard in the backyard, there's a hoarder in distress there. You see, a parking lot full of cars on the front lawn, there's too many people living there, possibly distressed there. So you really get to see visual indicators of either situational distress or property distress, which again, because we are being so concentrated with creating this list just based off of what looks like it needs love, you can't get a better type of list. You can't create a better list. And especially if you're on a limited budget, I think this is what the beautiful part is, right? Because so many people that get into wholesale are brand new and they don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to spend. They don't, they're learning for free on YouTube, which I totally accept. And I think it's wonderful. They are, maybe they're reading my book or some other books to learn. And so they're really trying to, piece this together in an economical and in an efficient way, which is good. Do that. But know that if you are short on resources, then every dollar has to go really far. And I think that's what we're doing here when we're creating a list using batches info. Jonathan has a great question. How recent are the visuals, Landry?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm really quite a stickler for all the details. And that is another reason why I would say to start off in satellite, is to understand where this imagery comes from, this bird's eye view. And when we get down into the street, it's of course from Google. From above, as you can probably imagine, it's a lot easier for Google to capture this data from being just right above instead of going down every tiny single street. So this imagery is updated like every 1 to 2-ish years from my understanding. So having an idea before you drop down, especially in certain markets, I don't know why over on like the East Coast, they are not good at updating the Google Street image. But I always say never let that defer you, because first off, you're going to be able to see when the image was captured once we drop down by Google. Sometimes it was a couple months ago, like in Arizona, they're amazing at it. I don't know why, but they have a lot of great drivers there, I guess. And then over on the East Coast, nobody's out there capturing new pictures. But you can look at things like the ownership info and be like, wow, this picture, let's say it was taken 5 years ago, but the same owner, John Smith, has owned it for 22 years. Not always, but do you think that John just randomly had the property fixed up, a couple months ago? Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are really important things to keep in mind. Look at the backyard, drop down, look at the date, add it anyway. You never know. So here, and let's take a look too. You guys can kind of see what that looks like. like here's the date down here. And you'll see, I think this one that I blocked, this was somebody that's owned it for like 15 years type deal. So be looking at that when you guys drop down. On that other image, what you'll do when you scroll into a neighborhood is you're going to find a little Google guy, and you're just going to drag it with your mouse wherever you want to start onto, right in front of the property, and it will bring you to this. Start your route. You don't want to, lose where you've been already, and you'll click on the house number and you'll be able to save it. I'll be kind of going through this today, but you guys won't see me save them because then it will show the address and then we'll get kicked off YouTube, and we want you guys to have this recording. So we're going to probably pick a market of your guys' choice, and I'll probably just track my route and add the properties later so Jamil can maybe call him next time we got on, which would be really cool.
Oh, heck yeah, we're calling him next time. I love getting on the phone. I want to talk to you, be like, hey, how come you don't mow your lawn?
Oh my gosh, no way you would do that.
I was looking at Google, and it looks like your pool is really green. Have you heard of West Nile? No, I wouldn't say.
Okay, I was about to say no way. That would be so crazy. Yeah,
well, I mean, I say crazy stuff, so we'll see what I come up with.
Yeah. I'm excited for that, especially because we're going to build this custom list, because a lot of the time, guys, and this is why I'm so excited about this, when we are, doing these shows, we're pulling, of course, a detailed list, but we're just pulling it, and going through and grabbing some people that Jamil is going to call, but we're going to build this ourselves. It's going to be great. So let us know if you guys have questions about that. I know it's really basic, but once again, we're just trying to make sure that you guys have this recording, as everything has to be blurred. So you guys will kind of see that in action. I think it should be okay on my other screen. Let's see here. Okay.
Now we've got 240 to 250 live eyeballs here, guys, and not enough of you are hitting like. So do Landry and I a favor. I'm coming to you guys all the way from vacation in Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm literally just here. Just got off of a 3-hour Astro call and right into the live stream with you guys because I love you, because I want to see you guys actually win and do this. I'm taking the time out of my day to help you guys. So do us a little solid and hit the like button. It would be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we want to keep doing this show. And if you guys find value in it, that's another reason too, because I definitely enjoy doing this and look forward to it. And I'm glad you're back. So let's see. Okay. So let's vote on some markets. You guys want to drop it in the chat?
Woo! Give us your market, because we want to. And here's what we'll also do. I think let's pick a market, and then what you and I should do is we'll have 2 winners. We'll have one winner that gets the free year of batch, and then the other winner, we're gonna give them the list that we build, fully skip trace, so that they can use it. We got 2 winners that we.
That's a great idea. Yep, love that.
So you guys are gonna get the actual list that we're gonna build on this challenge. So one of you guys is going to get a free year of batch leads. The other one is going to get the list that we build on this challenge completely skip traced, so that you can just get into it and start calling. And we've got a lot of votes in here. We've got Heidi saying Tucson, Arizona, Justin, Florida. We got Stephanie saying Houston. We got Raleigh, North Carolina, Fresno, Houston, Tampa, Georgia, Orange County, another Tucson.
So far,
we have Emily in the background.
Keep voting,
she's
guys.
Go through and kind of tally up what we've got, and then in a couple of minutes, when you guys are done typing, she's going to tell us which one wins. I'm not going to tell you what criteria Emily is going to use. She might just pick up her newborn baby and say point, and he might do it. I don't know. It might be based off of how many votes there were. I don't know. She's going to decide. It's up to her. She might just say, whatever. The first thing that I see when I open my eyes is what I choose. It's what it is. But put the market in there, because if you don't put it in there, there's no chance of it getting selected.
This will be good. I know this is great, especially because, we're going to do, for example, when I'm going through this and I just go to Phoenix, you can see, I know I grew up there. So I know the areas that are run down. It's easy to go and say, okay, this pocket is somewhere you should start driving. But for any of you guys that maybe are just, in analysis paralysis, you're like, I don't know where to go. I don't know my market very well. This will be kind of a good test. You'll kind of see us going through and picking an area when we don't know it super well. So yeah, it'll kind of give you an idea of how to do this when you're new.
What do you do when you're in a market where every house is run down, like Tucson?
I don't know. What would you do in that? Because then because it's like you drop down and you're like, okay,
You're
this
like,
one needs
wow,
help. I'd
is
say you'd
everywhere
probably look
here
for, yeah, I'm like, do you look for maybe a property? Maybe you would pull like a buyer's list in that area to see if somebody is starting to pick up properties there. Get that, that'd be good. And maybe reach out to that guy and say, do you want to check out this street that every house is run down? Like, I'll get the deals for you.
I was waiting for Heidi to get in here and start giving me heck about being too hard on Tucson. I love Tucson, guys. I just, it's just one of those places.
I used to live, Sierra Vista. I used to live there for a little bit.
You did?
Yeah. When Trevor first got into the Army, I went all the way down there and there was like nothing except for a Target and a Walmart. It was boring.
Wow. Yeah, it is a place where people go to retire.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's relaxing for me. I was like, I need more action, but nothing wrong with it. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Emily, people are ready for us to make a choice here. What are you saying? What's it going to be? Oh, she's doing her math right now. She's taking a look. She's taking a look. Where are we going? Where are we going? All right, gonna give her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm not mad at Tampa, Florida.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at Tampa, Florida. Thanks, Emily, for making the choice. Tampa, Florida is. We're gonna be virtually driving for dollars in Tampa, Florida, guys, and we're gonna be giving a lucky winner the entire Driving for Dollars list that we skip traced during this challenge. And then the second lucky winner is going to get an entire year for free of Batch Leads. So guys, make sure that you have gone to batchleads.io/offmarket to make sure that you are a part of this opportunity. So what's the next step?
I'm gonna add this down here. So here's the 2 prizes. So you guys have it. It's once again that sheet. If we want to drop that again in the chat, but have this. Once again, we're going to be back later in the month. So you guys want to be collecting this and building your list, and you might win this, but you have to do all of the required to be entered. Okay.
Yes. And then lastly, guys, I want you to mark down right now, August 24th at 1 p.m., the same time that we did today. So August 24th, it's a Thursday. That's the next time that we're going to be doing Jamil and Landry Go Off Market, where we're going to be doing part 2 of this challenge. So the winner is going to be announced on that show of both of the prizes. So August 24th, 1 p.m. Pacific time, we will be announcing the winner, and I'm going to actually be making calls on that list.
Yes. I'm excited.
So
what should we, we'll talk. Okay. There's another thing. I'll talk to you about it later. Okay. Let's do it. So all you guys are going to do when you want to go to a certain area is you're just going to type it in the top left. So go to driving routes, go up to the bar up here. Let's go to Tampa. Click search and we'll kind of bring you in that vicinity. So we're going to start kind of just checking it out and kind of just zoom into some neighborhoods. We're going to drop down, track our route, and then we'll kind of just be, answering questions as we go through and start trying to add this list and make this awesome list, which I'm excited about.
Something I learned, Landry, about like roof color, right?
Yeah.
And so especially here in Arizona, anytime I find like pink roofs, then I know that I'm in like more of a like a newer subdivision.
Yeah.
Like 90 to 2000. And so I know that's the kind of product that I'll be finding there. There may be fewer opportunities for driving for dollars in those newer areas. And so I of course I'll spend time there, but I'll first look for neighborhoods that have a lot of discoloration, a lot of patchiness,
variation.
Exactly, because I know that there were, these houses were built in times when builders weren't coming in and doing cookie cutters.
Yes.
They weren't coming in and using the same material on every house. It was one builder building a house and then another builder building a house that was completely different from the house beside it. And so that's why you get these really hodgepodge, roof colorations and roof tiles or shingles is because of the way that things were different in building back in those days. So this
That's
is
a really
a
good thing to
great
keep in
example of
mind.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that some people have had difficulty with virtual driving before because they're like, I don't know where to go. I keep landing in these super nice neighborhoods. So if that's been you, start by just even from far away, look at the color of the roofs. And if you start seeing a lot of variation, maybe check it out further, like this neighborhood. I mean, that was pretty quick, I would say. Even you can usually tell right off the bat with that. And it's who knows what's going on in the backyard here. It's going to be a little harder compared to like Arizona where there's like nobody, nobody has a tree in sight
But like,
kind of
look at
thing. But
the three on the corner of spruce, and I mean, look at that.
yeah, I'm
Like
interested in those.
you've got these three houses here, right? It doesn't look like there's any separation between the yards. It looks
Yeah.
like a possible bomb went off in the backyard. One of those roofs on the left, the far left, is completely shot. The one in the middle might have had some repair done to it, but then just look at in between the house. These houses are like they're run down. So like when I see that, I say that's an opportunity right there. Those would be three houses I'd want to have on the list. And there's a very
Yes.
good chance because there's no separation between the yards that they're all owned by a single owner. So I'm
Ooh,
two
yeah.
birds in one stone.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, well, let's just start in front of those because there's actually, it seems like a lot of good opportunities in this area. And once again, guys, I'm not going to be adding properties on this just because, once again, we don't want to show the addresses, but I'm going to track my route and come back to it later to build this list. So we'll kind of call out the addresses that we think we should add to this list. And yeah, be following along if you guys are able to. Go drop down in the market where you want to. Start trying to find that most distressed property so you guys can be a part of the contest. Let's grab our little Google guy and drop it and check it out. Let's see. I think I saw a blue genie on the front lawn. Oh, I've seen some crazy things in front yards.
Little guy here, a blue guy with a turban. How do we change the icon? We got to do that one day.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, like being able to change that a little bit. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. So you just move them around, and when you move them around, now we can get the front view, the front elevation view of the property. So what's happening here? Let's see.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, just immediately get in the habit of doing this. Just right when you get down here, click on the little car, because first off, there is going to be a blue line that follows behind your little guy over here on the left. So you're not going around in circles. Did I go down the street yet? I don't know. And for future, because then you're going to have that in your computer, moving forward. Here, right here, you guys are going to see this was taken in April 2015. That's honestly not a problem at all, in my opinion. Don't look at a photo and just be like, okay, because it wasn't taken in this year, I can't add it. You still don't know what situation that seller is in and see how long they've owned it. So check it out. Okay, so here's these three properties. There's one that looks a little nicer here. Let's start from the back. By the way, for any of you guys that haven't done this before and you're going to kind of get used to it, I have a little bit of a weird mouse, but you just click on the road once with your mouse. I always get a lot of questions about how to do it. And then just hold down your mouse and you can look left, right, up, down. You'll move your arm, not your thumb like mine. But let's check these out. Okay, so here's this one that has that damage there. I can't even hover over them. It's going to show the address, but definitely that roof, just like you were saying, that's totally shot. But you guys will click on the house number and then save it to a list is how you're going to start adding these properties. So,
awesome.
And this one's boarded up too.
That's boarded up. So like perfect opportunity, right? These three houses would definitely be ones that I would go after. The other piece is if you just look left, Landry, if we go left a little bit, look at the gentrification happening on the block. This is another thing that I really love to look at. I want to see, is there investor activity? Are there people doing repositions on this street? And here we go. Look at this house. He's got that cute little yellow door. Yeah. That's a remodel. See the red door beside it? Another remodel. See the teal door beside that? Another remodel. That tells us we've got heavy investor activity in this area, that people are really looking to find property in here. So if you get something in fact, I'd probably go up and down this entire street and I'd add every single house on this street that doesn't appear to have been remodeled.
Yeah, look at this one. Look at this cutesy one right next to it. That looks like a brand spanking new window as well. This property right here. Oh, this is the one that was totally covered in the backyard. Sometimes you see the distress in the back. Sometimes it's right there apparent on the front of the property. Yeah, definitely.
That's
We're
an
gonna
ad.
build this list.
Yep.
We'll
So
come
we're
back
gonna
to that side.
we want to go up and down the street, right? So we're going to go up the one side. So we add that one. We continue going down, and you guys are seeing. Look, there's so much evidence of investor activity, but there's so much opportunity here. Holy moly, this is great.
Yeah, some other things to be kind of checking out too is sometimes, or like if you guys are out and about, or if you ever take like the mobile app out, be looking for like weeds growing in the gutters or things that just in general, it doesn't always have to be like the roof is just completely destroyed. Like it could be a lot of other signs. Would you say that there's anything that sticks out more, or what would you say are like the big things? And do people need to be super worried about having a ton of those factors when looking at it? Does it need to be
No,
completely, busted? What do you think for anybody just getting started with this to look
I
for?
think I think in general, you always want to make the try, right? And so I would way rather add a property to my list and try and have a conversation than skip over it and potentially have missed an opportunity. So what if I call somebody and they say, "No, I have, I've already sold it," or
Yeah.
it's remodeled. Great, awesome, congratulations, I appreciate you. Take care, bye bye. So no big deal, right? So I think one factor is as much as you need. So I'm going to start off with roof. The roof looks shoddy. I'm putting that sucker on the list. Why is that? Because roofs are one of the externally visible signs of distress, but B, they're expensive.
Mm, yes.
When you can't fix a roof, it shows that you don't have access possibly to the resources necessary to do a renovation. So you might be open to an investor activity from investor offer from somebody like me. That's why I would make those indicators or have those
Yeah.
indicators.
So because I think that anything in this business can be super overthought, like, oh, I'm not going to add it, because the picture wasn't taken a couple months ago or whatever. And you just never know. I mean, and here's another property, by the way, cutesy door, all matching cute shutters kind of thing. There is a lot of, nice house numbers. That's another really good one when people put the black house numbers on there. This is a good,
This is
good
fun,
street.
Caitlin. I love this. Like, it's like you kind of feel like you're a detective sleuthing around. Like,
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm voyeuring a little bit, but not breaking the law.
Yeah, I know. And it's just crazy what you'll find. There was one time when I was, we were doing this on like a challenge. I can't remember. It might have been in like Cleveland, Ohio. And there was somebody that had this massive shark on their front lawn. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It had to be like 15 feet. I was like, why? I don't know. They like it.
I would call them and be like, hey, a couple of years ago, a Google satellite was over your house and there was a 15-foot shark on your front lawn. Why?
What is that? Yeah, I know. I think I still have
Are
it
you
saved
having
on
a
the
baby
list.
shark birthday party?
Yeah, seriously. It was realistic looking too. I was impressed. It's a good quality shark.
That I would see. Let's talk about this one, right? Because if you look at this house doesn't necessarily look to have been remodeled, although it doesn't look as though it's severely run down.
Yeah.
So would I add or would I disqualify this house? Well, I would look first and foremost at just the structural elevation of it, right? So for
Mhm.
me, if I was an investor, how would I add value to this home? I would enclose the carport and create a
Mhm.
garage. I would add value there. Then I would look at the materials of the house, right? So I see some of that siding up top. It looks like it could be a little bit older.
Yeah.
The landscaping is not, it's not terrible, but it's not beautiful. So I would say that this house looks a lot like the house I grew up in, right? We weren't poor, but we weren't, we were just making it. And my house growing up definitely needed a remodel. And so I would add this to the list. I think this one is marginal, but I would add it to the list.
That's a good point too, because I think that with driving for dollars, then you do really start focusing on like, okay, I need to find, of course, with this contest, we want you guys to be participating and to show us your findings, of course, but it doesn't mean that every single property on your list needs to just need a full gut, like Jamil is breaking down. Because I mean, they could still, if you give them a call, they could have motivation, and there you go. Then this one wouldn't have to be one that would need that serious remodel, but you could still find somebody that has other indicators. So who knows? Maybe they're in pre-foreclosure. You don't know. Let's see.
That's funny. Maria said, I seen a house with an 8-foot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle statue in the front yard, and she took a picture of it. That's hilarious.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, you never know what you're going to find in the front yard. Sometimes, or yeah, it's the best.
Oh, another great question from Caitlin here. She said, when you add it to the list, are you knocking in person or digitally? Sorry if this has been answered. No sorries needed at all, Caitlin. Great question. So no, there's no need for us to physically go and knock on the door. The beautiful thing about batch leads is we're going to get the address, and then we're going to skip trace and get the telephone number of the property owner, and then we're going to call them.
Yeah.
So we're just going to call them. We're going to say, hey, look, I've been scouring the neighborhood. I'm trying to really find an opportunity in the area that you own a home. And I saw from, just from some satellite pics that maybe the house could use some repairs. And so my question is, would you be interested in selling it? Let's talk, and then that's a great opener, right? Now we're into a conversation, and it looks as though I've done some research. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen some photos of the property. So let's dive in, and I think that's a great way to open up the conversation.
Yeah. And you guys will be able to, once again, of course, we can't show all this stuff. I think I have it up on this one. I have everything blurred out, but earlier too, like once again, we can't go and show everything or else it'll move the blurring, but get into the community. We'll drop the link for you guys to get into the batch community, and then you guys can actually see everything unblurred and be able to learn how to use all the different buttons and stuff. But this is kind of what it would look like if we were to open up the details of like the properties we're finding when we're building this list. We'd be able to, under like the property details, click a button, get their phone numbers, be able to start comping the property and have all of those appraisal rules in mind and ton of stuff. Like if they own multiple properties, it's crazy, just super endless in terms of being able to manage and have all of that information in front of you and give you just a little bit more confidence when you're reaching out to those sellers too. So yeah, get into the community, hit that link. You guys can get connected. You can message me in there and I can help you with anything you need too. Let's see here. Let's keep adding these properties. I know there was this yellow one that I saw over here earlier. Another good one. Yep.
That's a turd box right there. Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
Obvious signs of distress, right? This house has not had a lot of love. Instead of outdoor patio furniture, it looks like they just moved the couch from inside outside and put a sheet on it. So nothing wrong with that. Just what it is. And I would add this to the list. Peyton Curtis says, how big of a list should we build before skip tracing? This is the beautiful thing about this, brother. As big or as little as you want it to be, right? The thing too, don't overwhelm yourself. If you're working a 9-to-5 job and you've only got a little bit of time every day to do this, why would you want to go and build a list of 10,000 properties and skip trace all that? Why would you? Right? You don't have the time for that. You're not going to call all those people. So I would build as long of a list as you can call. Now let's talk about that. The average cold caller, if you're cold calling for 8 hours in a day, typically with a really good, strong dialing system, 200 dials a day is probably where you get to max out. That's typically you're gonna have somewhere in the range of between 50 to 75 actual connected conversations in that 8-hour time. And so I would look at it in those multiples. If that takes 8 hours, but you don't have 8 hours, if you only have 2 hours, well, then take that number and divide it by 4. Make sense?
Super helpful, because I think that's another thing. Kind of just build what you can, do what you can with the time you have, and just
one deal can change your life. That's the thing, one deal, and all of a sudden you're resigning from your job like Emily.
And by the way, guys, if you're just thinking about like getting through, wait.
Right now, dying laughing because
I did know that Emily is leaving. When is she leaving? That's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. I love her so much, and she's been a phenomenal addition to our team, but she, literally got on a call with me and said, Jamil, you're too good of a teacher. You taught us how to do this. And her husband and her have been killing it. Greg's been
Oh my
smashing,
gosh.
he's doing so well at wholesale and fix and flip in Indiana. And they've been buying rentals, and he's, he just did a $20,000 deal last week. Like,
Oh
he's
my
killing it.
gosh.
So now she's joining him, as she should, right? Because I believe that if I'm not training the people in my world to be free, then what did I do?
Wow.
Right?
Well, congrats, Emily. That's super. I didn't know that's why. So that's really exciting, but I'm sure you're sad because you guys have worked together for a long time.
She's my day one.
Yeah.
So, it is heartbreaking, but we're going to remain the best of friends. I love her. She's my little sister, and I'm happy to watch her grow. I'm happy to see her go off and do awesome things. That's the meaning of life,
That's so amazing too.
Yeah.
I didn't even, yeah, that's so awesome that, they were taught and picked that up and then just moving down in their own journey. So awesome. Congrats, Emily.
But one deal can change your life, guys. Never forget that. So you get on the phone and you make it happen. You don't know what's going to happen. You get that one seller, you connect the dots and you make it go. And then all of a sudden you got $40,000 in the, I have a 20-year-old right now in Astro that I was just talking to, did 3 deals this month. He's going to have $40K at the end of the month wired into his account. He just got $20K wired in today. And thinking, man, 20 years old and that kind of money. When I was 20 years old, what was happening in my world? I was surrounded by violence and nonsense. And I've got 20-year-olds right now in the community that are killing it, that are just like, look at the opportunity that's coming in life like that. What a beautiful thing.
Gosh,
Dan, reach out. Yeah. I'm looking for help. Reach out, bro.
Gosh, that is amazing though too, and I think that really comes back to the power of community and all these amazing relationships and networking. So all of you guys in the chat, being a part of Astro or getting into the batch community, like there's so many amazing people out there that are just go-givers that want to give value and answer your questions and support you, even if they're brand new too. I think that in any area in your life, you need somebody else, that's there with you. So gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Psycho Kitty said, when I was 20 years old, I had $20 and I was rich. Me too, dude.
Yeah.
Me too. And Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but this is the attitude right here. You should love to watch people succeed. Absolutely. That is the name of the game. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So, we're continuing to build the list. Thank you, Adam. It is the best community. I agree. And congratulations, Dana. Dana Invest says, I went from 0 to 3 closed deals, 3 in escrow, 4 contracts out in the last 3 months. Rockstar.
Oh, heck yeah. Congrats.
So would you say, Landry, that when doing this, that would it make sense to scour up and down the streets all around this first neighborhood that we went to, because we saw such evidence of, again, look at here, right?
That could be the same situation like your first deal. There it is.
Exactly. There you go. Right. So I'd add that to the list. We see we got a remodeled house.
There's a cutesy one over here. Yep. Yeah. I think, you know what? I think so, in terms of if you are still hitting something every, few properties, or at least it's not taking forever to hit a property that has some distress or worth adding to your list. And if you do run into like a neighborhood, like all of a sudden you're in a subdivision where all the roofs do match and everything's cookie cutter, then just get out of it. Just move to another area. Don't worry about that. Like you just found yourself in maybe the wrong spot, and you can always just get out, like stop your route. If you guys ever run into that as you're building your list, click on the car icon in the bottom right to stop your route. And then you can go back up to the map and like find a good spot again and see where you've been so far. So you're not going to those same neighborhoods, is what I would say. So yeah, I would say up to a point,
Love it. Marcellus, hey, you can access another market in the blaster, but we're not doing that on this thing. So just reach out to support in the Facebook group there, and we're happy to help you out with that. Jay Soul asks, anybody wholesaling in Atlanta? Brother, I know you're an Astro, and I know that you know who Rocky is and Will Coggins. Those are 2 people that you need to get on the phone with. They will absolutely change your life. And then also reach out to Chris Campbell, who's the Keegley franchise in Atlanta. Phenomenal guy.
This is a really, I think this spot is so awesome because there's a lot of cutesy houses. There's a lot of investor activity here,
Right.
but not crazy where, I still think there's opportunity because you just never know.
Adam is as well. Guys, we're deep. Astro's deep. You have no idea. If you're, hey, we got 240 people. If you're a part of the Astro community, throw a rocket ship in the chat. And if you love it, throw a rocket ship and a heart in the chat.
Yes.
All right, we're going to continue adding properties to this list. What's another thing for people to keep in mind, Landry, when they're doing this?
I think just once again, of course, I can't show it to you guys, but look at even just the preview of the year build is going to be huge, especially when you're not there physically in front of the property. If maybe you're not running into like how we have these, like you can tell that there's investor activity here, somebody that's probably would buy your deal if you found it down the street from where they just renovated a property or flipped something. Maybe go outside of an area and even, start with like property search and you could even go to a subdivision and do like a cash buyer search to see where people are investing and then maybe go drive there. I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, don't just stick in one spot if you're not finding things or seeing that there's movement there in that area. I would say is something to keep in mind. It's important.
Awesome. Rocket. Yes. Lots of love, guys. Lots of Astro love. I want to see everybody in the community taking advantage of this awesome sauce that we're doing here, guys. I'm not a fan of heavy direct to seller throwing the spaghetti at the wall. I'm a fan of, if I want to see the sticky pieces of spaghetti, I'm going to find the sticky piece and I'm going to walk it over to the wall and I'm going to stick it to the wall. That's efficiency, and that's not making a mess. Okay, that's what I don't want to make a mess. And this is what we're doing here. So remember, we're going to be back on August 24th, and we're going to be selecting a winner.
Yes, two winners.
Two winners. One who sends in the ugliest house from their Driving for Dollars virtual list that they've created. And then the next person is going to get the list that Landry and I are going to build from what we did here today. So Landry, how many houses you think you're going to put in that list so that people can know what that size might be?
I'd say we could probably put like 50 in there at least. I think that's the minimum. You get it. But that's the thing though. Keep in mind, if you went out and you pulled a list of whatever, 10, 20, 50 people on just doing some filters compared to something that was built through Driving for Dollars, that is completely different. So if you're like, oh, only 50, like it's a different type of list. But we'll get something good in there. Wouldn't you say, Jamil? Like when you're really comparing,
100, but minimum 50.
Yeah, if we can get it to 100, we're going to try to get to 100. We have the time to do so. I think we can. We'll shoot for 100.
Awesome. Wow, this is going to be cool. Remember, guys, take advantage of the free trial. It's batchleads.io/offmarket. Go sign up. It's free trial right now. Get to it. Go create your list. Skip trace it, and let's get some money.
I'm excited.
Anything else we want to share with the folks before we go? Anything new going on in your life?
Just doing lots of house projects, but that's all I'm doing here. So.
Oh, oops! Yeah. How did that happen?
Emily, surprise.
Emily.
You can't hear you.
You might not be on this next one, Em. And so I just wanted to. You may or may not. We'll still have you, but I know you're going to have your hands full up until the time you depart. But anything you want to say to the community before we leave you?
Whatever Jamil says, do it because it works.
That's it.
That's it. I'm living, breathing proof.
You're amazing. Awesome, man. Love you. And somebody asked, is anybody doing wholesale deals in Indiana? Yes, her man, Greg Santana. So you can find him on Instagram, reach out to him. I should do a To the Moon episode with Greg here pretty soon so we can showcase him to people as well. But Emily will absolutely be missed. We love you very much. And guys, make sure you go build your list and send us your ugly houses and tune in August 24th to round 2 of Jamil and Landry Go Off Market Driving for Dollars Challenge. We love you. Good night, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.